Hello, ladies and gents. So, most people don't like to admit when they're wrong, or kind of wrong. I've been kind of wrong with something I said a few weeks ago on here. I happened to see Old Boy George on the YouTube over the last sort of 24 hours. Did a song at one of his latest concerts. He's doing concert tour at the moment with Rod Stewart, Rod, as you're probably aware. He was singing, I think it was Karma Chameleon, and he didn't sound that bad. Wasn't brilliant, wasn't as good as he used to be. All the sentences were cut short, and they were sort of in places spoken rather than sang, and he let a lot of the crowd finish his sentences or help him with them, and his backing singers. But he wasn't as bad as I've said in the past. I heard him 3 years ago on BBC, and it was absolutely woeful. He didn't sound as bad this time. What I will say is, there's a guy in Tenerife, I think he's called Keith George, who is a tribute act to Boy George. And I would suggest Keith George does a better Boy George than Boy George. But that said, Boy George, or George, if you don't mind me being too overfamiliar, you wasn't quite that bad. So, apology for what I said a few weeks ago, although at the time I was right. 3 years ago you was woeful. But over the last week or so, whenever you've just performed, and as I say, I only seen it yesterday, you weren't that bad. Okay, just a quick one from me to see if I'm wrong, or if an apology is required. That's my apology, just online on YouTube for anyone to hear, including yourself, Boy George.